Hi, everybody. It's Friday. It's normally the last day of the guest, but this week it's not. As I mentioned on Monday, it's this is going to be 2 weeks with Josh, and you've probably fallen in love with Josh right now. I know I did, but Josh is still here for another week. I've chopped it up into 10 parts to make it easier and smaller and easier to digest. I'm taking the feedback from you all. So 2 weeks, yes, back on Monday. So this is not the final segment. We're back on Monday with Josh.
If I want to have something, don't completely restrict myself all the time from having it, because it will just make me get up at midnight and eat a pantry full of crap.
Yeah. Was weight an issue as a child then, do you think? Was it caused from anything else that was going on in your life where you was trying to fill in that hole?
I don't know how to answer that, because I don't know. It may have been, maybe subconsciously, but I don't think I ever like kind of substituted food for that. It was just more so, I think it was maybe reactions to certain things, like maybe something would happen that would make me feel sad or make me feel angry or make me feel happy, and then I'd eat. But I think it was maybe indirectly then, because it wasn't like I was eating because of this thing that happened. It just, this thing happened and then I felt this emotion, so I better eat. That was kind of, I guess, my mentality with it. So maybe indirectly or subconsciously it was, but nothing that I can pinpoint and being like, that's the reason I did this, or this person said this to me which made me view my body this way. It was never really like that for me. It was just, I don't know, I just one day was like, I'm quite large and I don't really love this, especially as a teenager when, you know, you're trying to like bonk everything and it's like, well, no one wants to bonk me. It was just kind of like that. It was like, oh, and then I lost a heap of weight and I was like, okay, this is fine. But yeah, it's, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't really know. Maybe subconsciously.
Well, I think you did answer it. For sure. That's your answer, isn't it? You know, I suppose I ask that now because we do tend to become a little bit more self-reflective, don't we? Growing up, I was bullied in school, but I don't think I realised I was. Well, no, actually, no, I do remember being bullied. I did realise that in primary school, but there were certain times I'd go through and I probably didn't realise it till later in life. Oh, now I know why I made that decision. Now I know why I thought that. But at the time, you weren't. You're not thinking it like that. Did you always grow up in Adelaide?
So I live like just outside of Adelaide, like an hour outside of Adelaide. So like I'm not a city boy, I'm a country boy. But I was born in New South Wales. I was born in a place called Broken Hill. And then I lived over near Sydney until I was like 7 or 8. And then I've lived here ever since I was that age. So pretty much from what I can remember, I've always kind of been in this area. So yeah, I always consider myself, I'm a South Australian. Woohoo.
And you grew up with your mum and dad and your siblings?
So I have 2 full siblings and a half sibling. So my mum and dad got divorced when I was around 11. And then my mum ended up remarrying and had another kid. That's why there's such a big age gap between us all. Because I got an older brother who's 7 years older than me, and then a younger brother who's 14 years younger than me, and then me and my sister are 4 years apart. So there's still quite big age gaps between all of us, really, in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I grew up until I was about 11 with my siblings, and then broken family after that. Good old divorcees, eh?
Well, I mean, was that a difficult time in your life? I mean, can you pinpoint that to anything, any events in your life that you might have struggled with in childhood?
Oh my lordy. Listen, now as an adult, I can understand why relationships don't work or divorces happen or whatever. But as a kid, all you want is your family to be together, no matter what.
Sure.
You don't care if you don't understand their unhappiness. You don't get why the things are happening like they're happening because you're a kid. You're like, well, my mum and dad should be together. As an adult, I understand that's not the case, and they probably should have separated a long time before they actually did. So my mum and dad were together, I think all together for about 18 years. They were married for 14 or something like that, or something around those lines. So they were together since they were quite young. My dad was a dad at 17, my older brother. And then, yeah, they got married and all of that kind of stuff. We didn't, even as a kid, now that I'm kind of thinking about it, we didn't really do much as a family. It was always like we did stuff with mum or we did stuff with dad, even when we were all together. Like it was just like, oh, okay, dad will take us to do this, mum will take us to do this. My dad also worked night shifts, so he was a baker, so he worked overnight. So he would sleep a lot during the day. So, we would come home from school and he was just getting out of bed, getting ready to go to work. So we'd be home with mum in the evenings and stuff like that. But yeah, we didn't really do that many. Like, it wasn't like you always hear these families doing stuff like, we went to this place as a family on vacation and stuff like that. I remember doing that a couple times, but we really didn't do that often. We also weren't the richest family in the world. We were probably lower middle class, if you want to put it in a box. We weren't poor, like we got what we got, and my mum and dad always made sure we didn't go without. But as an adult, I realize that now. As a kid, I didn't understand it, but as an adult, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They were struggling pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
So when my parents got divorced, it was ugly, it was messy, there was a lot of abusiveness in the kind of relationship. It ended really poorly. And then for some reason, I don't know why, I think my mum, I think in my brain, I felt like my mum got everything out of that. She had a new relationship, she had my sister and my older brother with her, and my dad had nothing. And my dad was not a good person. It's just, he wasn't. He just, he just wasn't. I didn't really understand that too much as a kid, but he just was not. But I still chose him. I don't know why. I was like, he's on his own. He needs someone. Turns out
So
probably, well, go on. Yeah, no.
No, I was going to ask, did you feel sorry for him and that's why you chose him?
I don't know if it was, I felt sorry for him. I think I looked at him and he needed help.
Yeah.
And he just needed something. And I didn't even know if I could fulfill that. And I didn't know. I was 12 years old. I don't know. But I feel like I need to help him because he's got nothing. He's just got he's lost everything. And he was pretty poor in the breakup of it all and stuff like that. And my dad drank a lot. As long as I can remember, my dad always drank, but my dad drank a lot at this period of time. So like I was kind of into unknown territory. I was like leaving my siblings, leaving my mum. I still seen them and we still live relatively close. So like I spent, every second weekend or something like that with my mum, and I'd see my sister and stuff like that. And my brother was a bit older. So like at this point he's like 18. So like it's a little bit different for him than it is for me and my younger sister. But like, I'm at a really ripe age. Like 12 is like you start to understand. You don't understand everything, but you're not a baby. You're not a child. So you kind of, your eyes are opening to a lot of the world. So I kind of went to him, and I think the biggest thing for me throughout those years of my life was that a lot of the frustration and anger, and this is an excuse for how he behaved, but like a lot of the frustration and anger that he had towards my mum, I didn't even know if he was realizing it, but he was taking a lot of that out on me. Emotionally, a little bit physically and stuff like that, of just like, well, this isn't great for me as a growing teenager who's trying to understand what life is. Just those years I just look back on, it's so foggy, I think, because I've tried to kind of get it out of my brain a lot, because you just don't want to think about bad times. But like, I'm not saying it was all bad. My dad did have a lot of love. There had to be a reason I chose him for something. But
can you remember those things?
That time, my dad is he's very compassionate, and he loves to help other people. But I think sometimes he gets in his own way, and he doesn't even honestly realize it. But he just drank so much, man. He just drank so much. Like, it made me so frightened of alcohol. I didn't have my first sip of alcohol until I was 19 because of him. Because when all my friends were drinking at 16, when we're all at house parties and stuff like that, I was like, no. Because my biggest fear, even still to this day, is like becoming him. I don't want to ever become him. Because he was just like, he could be so happy when he drank, but it would just be like a drop of a dime, and he would be the angriest person. And he would drink from like 8 a.m. to like 11 p.m. Like, it was just all day. It was bad. And as a teenager, you're like that. You're so impressionable at that age, especially to your dad. Like, and I didn't have my older brother with me and stuff like that. So it's kind of like he was the epitome of like, oh, this is what it's like when you're older. I also should add that my grandpa also lived with us as well. So like his dad, And he was much more of a caregiver than my dad was in those years. Like my grandpa made sure that I had school uniforms and was getting to school and had food every night. And my dad certainly wasn't doing that 100% of the time. Sometimes he
Yeah.
would, but not a lot.
So this period of time when you're going through all of this again, I know you don't think about it at that point in time because you're only 12, but you've got some, like you just mentioned, you've got some maturity hitting your head and your life. Did you ever think that maybe you should go back to your mum, or did you ever feel that you wanted to go back to your mum at this point, or did that not even enter that space at that time?
So I guess to my point of maturity, I was also still very immature, in a sense, because I couldn't, I couldn't bear to be around my stepdad. I did not like him. Just because I think in my brain it was like I didn't want anyone to replace my dad. And I understand that now that that's not what the case was. But I just had so much, I was like, fuck you, I don't want to be around you. So like, I think I got into the mindset of like, he was evil, even though he never was. But I just kind of had it out for him, in a sense of just like, no, screw you. So I'm going to be with my dad. I don't know, that just kind of, nothing really happened to stop that. I think I just kind of grew up and realized that this is normal for people to go into other relationships and stuff like that. But it took me a little while. I still go over there, and stuff like that. But
Is your mum and stepdad still together?
Yes, my mum and my stepdad are still together to this day. They're great.
And you get along with him?
Yeah. I mean, we're not best friends, but who is with, whatever. But he's a good guy. I like him a lot. And he's a good dad for my younger brother. So, you know what I mean? Like, he went through his own stuff. That's honestly so beyond me because I never really got too much involved in that side of his, stuff. But, he's come a long way with a lot of things of just his own brain. So, yeah, he's great. And him and my mum are really happy. They, just recently bought a house. Like,
nice.
They're just living their kind of lives as my mum gets older and stuff like that. And yeah, they both have good jobs and they just kind of do their thing. So now, it took me a minute, but yeah, I think it was just kind of growing up and being like, maybe I was the asshole in that situation, not him. But yeah, so from the years of 12 to 18, I was with my dad, and it changed a lot in that time, and things happen and stuff like that. But man, the first few years of that was like, my dad was so just unhappy with his life because he'd lost my mom, like everything like that.
I was going to ask, did he not want to lose your mum then?
I've never really had a conversation with him about it. I don't talk to my dad anymore. But I would assume not. There was a lot of things that went wrong. There was a lot of things that both of them did wrong. But I will say they always, even if they were really angry at one another, they always communicated for us kids, which was really nice. They always made sure that, because my sister would come. So I would go to my mum's every second weekend and my sister would go to my dad's the other weekends. So I would still get to spend the weekends with my sister. Like I said, my brother was older, so he didn't give a shit because he was just like 18 and like piss off, I'm not doing this. But like my younger sister and me were the closest in age. So like that was really good for me to have my sister with me on the weekends. So they always did communicate for us, which is really nice, even if they didn't like each other. Because sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes it's not that, and they didn't do it through like courts or anything. It was just like, this is just their agreement. This works. Let's just do that. So that was lovely. But yeah, I think in a sense, my dad probably didn't want to lose my mum. But I don't know. I think, again, I don't know what goes on, between people when I'm not there or anything like that. But my dad was never like that kind of person that I've described him as, that kind of like, he did a lot of things to me just emotionally and stuff. He was never like that with my sister or with my older brother, I think, in a sense. So I don't know. He just seemed to take out a lot of his frustration on me. And I don't really understand. I still, to this day, don't really know why he did that. Maybe it was just like a constant reminder of what was. I really don't know. But those years are just like, you're going through puberty and you're going through all of that horrible hormonal shit. And then you got this on top of it. It's just like very, I don't know. It was just shitty. It was just really shitty.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you mentioned there was abuse in the family. Was that the reason for the split up?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I don't really. I, I know what I know. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense. Like, I only know what I've seen or what I've talked to over the years of like why.
Mm.
Because I think for a long time, my mum and dad were very just like, if you asked about that kind of stuff, even as we got older, they were just kind of like, we just fell out of love. And that was kind of like, they were very dismissive of it. But I had seen my dad physically abuse my mum before.
That's the end of the episode this week with Josh. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, make sure you come back Monday to continue the journey with Josh and I. I know you can't wait to continue the journey with Josh. It's absolutely incredible, so inspiring. But for now, have a great weekend. Stay inspired and keep leading your own way. If you're not, we're here to help you figure that out. Keep leading your own way, everybody. See you Monday.